This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What's up, real MVPs? Ricky Widmer here, along with the Mark Weber.
Dub themmies.
I almost said the one and only. I think it's the
one
name.
And only.
Well, because that's Brandon's thing on the Primetime Podcast.
The
I
one and only, the Mark Weber.
But I didn't. The Mark Weber across the table with me. It's great to be back here on the Onside Kick. Nonstop football, NFL news here on Most Valuable Podcast. Had my week siesta. I am now back, ready to talk football with you, Mark. Thanks to Dave for filling in. I was really excited about last week's show, too, after I sent you the topics a day early as well.
Yeah, it was a good show. It's always fun to talk about the fall of a quarterback.
Of two quarterbacks, basically.
Yeah.
Because Dave was like, we mentioned it in the Jaguars one.
Yeah, that's very true. And Blake Bortles is gone. He will probably show up again because Cody Kessler is not much better.
Also, people got mighty upset with how you say Jaguars, because you say Jaguars.
That's the way it should be.
Like, the comment, it is humorous to me how the comment section is all learn to pronounce it right.
To which I say, I really don't care how to pronounce your team name. You can pronounce Bears as any way you want, and I'm not going to be upset about it.
The Chicago Bears.
Yeah. Go ahead.
This is the Onside Kick. We're talking NFL today. We're looking at the Bears, of course, or the Bears, as you want to call them. We're looking at the Texans, or the Tejasans, if you want to pronounce their name wrong. And then we're going to look at the NFL draft, kind of doing our first comparison of the year, looking at two of the guys that will most likely go number one and number two, Nick Bosa, Ed Oliver, kind of looking at them side by side to see maybe which one should be the number one overall pick in this upcoming draft that seems far away, but it'll be here before we know it. Before we get into everything, though, a little bit of housekeeping here at the beginning. Make sure to check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. If you want to help support the channel, we can't do what we want to do without the support of our patrons, so we want to thank them each and every week because they make this machine run. Also, you can go get yourself an MVP t-shirt that is down below in the description. You can get it at the store or on mostvaluablepodcasts.com where you can catch MVP each and every day. And then last but not least, make sure to go to iTunes, rate and review the show on iTunes. It would really mean the world to us. Let everyone know why the Onside Kick is a great NFL podcast on iTunes. But Mark, we're going to dive in to the first topic, your team, Da Bears, and I was watching that game on Thanksgiving.
Oh, it's a great game.
I came in a little late because I was driving to family's house when it started. What were your immediate thoughts during that game? Because early on, it seemed like you were upset following the Sunday night game into the Thursday game.
Because early on, you could just feel like the Bears were feeling lazy. Like they were tired.
Like they didn't want to be there.
Exactly. They didn't want to be there. It was like, oh, do we really have to do this right now? Like, you know, I mean, can somebody else play for me instead? Like, it was looking rough at the beginning. And I was going and getting ready for Thanksgiving, doing some cleaning, some cooking in the process of this. But I was able to chime in and check in every now and then and sit around, watch a little bit, get updates on it. As I was cooking and cleaning, and it was just turned into a surprisingly good game. Chase Daniel did exactly what he needs to do, be more than serviceable. You got this team here that is just so dominant defensively, and you can just see the struggles. And I apologize to Lions fans for what I'm about to say. They're going to be mad, but this isn't a dig at the Lions.
You going to disrespect them?
No, it's not a dig at the Lions. It's just to see this defense feast upon a lesser team. And like I said, this is not a knock on the Lions. They have offensive coordinator issues. They have no wide receivers to throw the ball to. There's a lot of things that are going against the Lions, and that's just roster issues and coaching issues. So to see the Bears take advantage of that and win the games they're supposed to win, that's good. Even despite some tiredness, despite some injury issues, a team that practiced one day essentially and came into play.
And the Thursday win was huge for the Bears because kind of setting the table a little bit. They are now, let's see, I got the standings up here, 8-3. Vikings are 6-4-1. So basically, you're still a game and a half ahead of my Vikings.
That tie is rough for the Vikings.
Division. Well, it's rough, but I mean...
It's rough if they would have won. It's better if they would have lost, obviously.
If we would have lost, we would have been tied with the Redskins, Seahawks, and Panthers, and I don't want to deal with those tiebreakers. I want to be in the playoffs right now as the 5th seed. But what we're looking at with the Bears is they're 8-3 now. They've got, what will it be? Is there, if my math is correct, 5 more games left?
Yep,
5 more games to the season.
Both teams have 3 away games.
If they win out, they're 13-3. They're still 2 games behind the Rams, who they will play, the Saints, who they don't. And the overarching question that I want to answer is this Bears team a legit Super Bowl contender in the NFC? Like, coming into the year, we were a little bit like, before Khalil Mack, I was like, this is going to be a Bears season where you're going to have a lot of close games. You're going to lose those games. Like that first week against the Packers, I thought that was going to be your season throughout. And I was like, they're going to be 6-10, but you're going to be like, oh, we could have won this game, could have won that game, and could have been a 10-6 team. Then Khalil Mack comes along. It's like, okay, this team could be 8-8 this season. And now we sit here, they're 8-3, looking to smash that prediction out of the water. What do you think? Is this team a legit contender? I know we'll get the answer to the Rams one 2 weeks from now, but could this team in the playoffs seriously contend with the Rams and the Saints?
It's tough, and I still say that before Khalil Mack, I was saying this team could maybe squeeze their way into the playoffs, but they're just barely out. Khalil Mack pushed them in, but not in my eyes as the division winner. And I still thought the Vikings were going to be the better team, despite the fact that I said that their offensive line was going to be bad. I still thought they could pull through. The Vikings are not a bad team. They're 6-4-1. They're in the playoff hunt. If it ended today, they're in the playoffs. So they're still doing well. For the Chicago Bears part, it's tough for me because obviously anybody that gets in the playoffs can win. I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles won with a backup quarterback. They won the Super Bowl last year. The 9-7 Giants have won the Super Bowl twice. 9-7 Packers have won the Super Bowl. You can win by just barely getting in. That can happen. The Chicago Bears, as it stands right now, are not just barely getting in.
No, they're in.
Yeah, they're in there. Anything can happen. They can lose out the rest of this season and become 8-8. But as of right now, they're in the playoffs. And I look at these teams and I look at who they got to face. The Bears can beat the Redskins. The Bears can beat the Dallas Cowboys. We're going to find out if the Bears can beat the Minnesota Vikings. We'll find that out in Week 17. Well, maybe not. I mean, the Bears, if they don't need to play, they might not play. We'll see what Nagy, what his philosophy is on that. We're going to see them play the Rams. But when I look at these two teams, earlier this season, a few weeks ago, after watching the Saints just destroy yet another team, I was saying that I am very glad that the Bears are not ready to compete for the Super Bowl just yet. They're just outside because this Saints team is too good. The Rams, I actually think that the Chicago Bears could compete against the Rams. I don't necessarily think they will win, but I think that they will keep it within a possession with the Rams. Maybe not like a 1-point loss, but they can keep it to like a 4, 5, 6-point loss. The Saints, I just don't think that the Bears can do it, is really what it comes down to me. I just can't imagine that the Chicago Bears are going to go up toe-to-toe against Drew Brees and the Saints. And I could be proven wrong. You know, I mean, the Saints have been on this absolute tear. The only game they lost so far is against the Buccaneers, and they gave up 48 points. So it's certainly possible that they can give up points. But I look at a team that's scoring 37 points a game and whose defense is not amazing. But the thing about the defense is they're a little underappreciated because, of course, they're going to give up a lot of yards. Of course, they're going to give up a lot of points. They're playing teams that need to throw the ball nonstop.
And that's the thing where, with me personally right now, I'm not saying that. I know what people are going to say. Ricky, you're a Vikings fan. You're not going to give the Bears credit. The thing that keeps the Bears in this conversation, the one with the Rams and the Saints, is that with Matt Nagy's offense, the Bears can score points.
For sure.
Out of the 3 losses the Bears have, the first one pushed to the side because it was week 1. It was Trubisky and Nagy's first real game.
Khalil Mack not really there yet.
Wasn't really there
Roquan
yet.
Smith not really there yet.
With Trubisky, correct me if I'm wrong, in the preseason, kind of had like kid gloves a little bit. Didn't really
basically didn't play.
Yeah, didn't grasp the full offense.
I mean, he never
like
really
he
played.
has now.
Yeah.
And you look at the other 2 losses, Miami, Brock the Cock, and Albert Wilson out-dueled you. They out-dueled you offensively. Like, without that 70, 90-yard, whatever run or catch it was, the Dolphins aren't winning that game. Like,
and just dumb mistakes, and that was one of those where a team kind of almost lets themselves lose.
And then the same thing with the Patriots, where you're in that game, you're leading, that Van Noy block punt, touchdown, kind of flips it over. James White gets a touchdown after that, and it's pretty much a Patriot game at that point, where the 2 offenses at that point, I know one special teams for the Patriots play, kind of seals your fate. Every other game, except for maybe the Arizona game, the offense for the Bears has shown up. However, I look at it, and I look at this Rams team. The only team to beat the Rams is the Saints.
Yep.
And the Saints had to score 45 points to do so. And the only time the Bears have scored over 40 points... Well,
technically they only needed to score 36.
True. But, I mean, for the Rams defense, you could say whatever you want about them because, the offense is better than the defense. When you look at the scores for other opponents, there's only one team to crack 40 against the Rams, and that was the Chiefs did as well. So 2 teams to crack over 40. One was a win, one was a loss. The Chiefs and the Saints. I don't know if the Bears' offense is in that kind of a level yet, and I kind of think they do. Because,
you look at a game like the Broncos. They were only able to score 23 points on the Broncos. I think the Bears are a better defense than the Broncos.
However, I'm going to throw this out at you, and I'm only throwing it out because my team's defense is no slouch either. If that game is in L.A., I could see a very similar game to what we saw when the Vikings played the Rams.
Possible.
Well, I know we didn't have Everson Griffin at that time. He was dealing with the off-the-field issues that he had at that point. We've been a different defense since he's come back. But if this game is in, and that's another thing where this could hurt the Bears. If the games are in New Orleans or in L.A., I don't think they beat those 2 teams. I think the Bears this year, home field advantage is going to be crucial for them, and I just don't see the Saints or the Rams giving up a spot to the Bears, but I could be wrong. The Bears could beat the Rams in 2 weeks and then take home field advantage away from the Rams.
It's possible. I mean, both the Rams...
Because it's at Chicago.
Both the Rams and the Saints, I think, are a level above where the Bears are at right now. And I specifically mentioned the Saints because I do think that the Bears can fare up a little bit better at stopping the Rams. Not necessarily stopping. You're not going to stop the Rams offense.
Slow them down.
Yeah, slow them down to where the Bears can catch up.
It's the old Adrian Peterson mantra of you can't stop them, you can only hope to contain them.
Exactly. And part of the thing when I look at the Saints is the Saints were so close last year. It just kind of feels a little bit of they are doing absolutely everything they have to do to win this year because last year they feel like they should have won. Look at that game against the Eagles.
Yeah.
I said it, 2 weeks ago? Last week. That was a game of the Saints saying, we would have beaten you if we had the chance. We would have been in the Super Bowl. And we know we can do better than the Philadelphia Eagles. We would have beat the Patriots. That's what they're saying. That's what the Saints are saying. They're on this tear. The Rams, phenomenal team. No doubt about it. If one of these teams, I think, is more susceptible to the underdog beating them, I think it's the Rams than it is the Saints. I sit here and I watch these Saints play. I watch Drew Brees have an MVP season right now, and I don't see anything getting in the Saints' way. Any given Sunday, we can totally be surprised, but I just look at teams. The Bears, obviously, to me, are the third best team in the NFC. That is correct. It's not something I think is wrong. You look at that talent level drop when you go from the Bears, I'm sorry, Cowboys fans, to the Cowboys, to the Redskins who have an injured quarterback. That just drop in talent. The team who I think stands a good chance that's going to bounce back, the Panthers. I mean, they're sitting there at 8. That's the team a Redskins should be scared about. That's the team that probably the Dallas Cowboys should be a little bit more scared about because I think that the Minnesota Vikings are going to win more games than they'll lose.
And let me put it this way. This is what's going through my mind. If you held a gun to my head and was like, is anyone going to upset the Rams or the Saints? I would say no.
Yeah.
Like, no one does. My NFC championship game this year, I'm expecting Saints-Rams right now in New Orleans.
100%.
But the thing that I look at, and I can say this for my team, I can say this for your team, the most crucial thing that is going to keep our teams with a little skin in the game is our defenses.
Yeah.
If this Bears defense can come up with a key play, can slow down that Rams team or slow down that Saints team.
Well, if you don't give the quarterback time to throw.
Exactly. And the reason why I say that is what I said for the Rams, you know, like, oh, the only team to beat them scored over 40. The only loss that the Saints had, you know, when Ryan Fitzpatrick scored and put 48 on the Saints in week 1. Like, that's the only time, like, the rest of the scores against them, Cleveland only put 18. I know that was one they should have won. Their kicker should have made some kicks. You've got 37 Atlanta, 18 Giants, 19, 23, 20, 35, which was the Rams, and then 14, 7, and 17. Like, these teams, lately the defense for the Saints has been stepping it up too, which has kind of counteracted it a little bit. But, like, you're not going to beat the Rams or the Saints. Like, I look at it, unless your defense really slows them down, you're not beating either one of those teams unless you put up a 40 spot.
Khalil Mack, Eddie Jackson to have
the games of their lives.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you need Khalil to get to the quarterback. You need Akeem Hicks to get to the quarterback. You need Eddie Jackson to have a pick 6. You know, you need everything to go right just to stop these teams. And, you know, the Bears, they did well against Tom Brady. So it's possible. It's just I look at these teams and I don't see the Bears being at that level yet. I would love it. I would love for the Bears to beat the Saints or the Rams and get in there. But, you know, fortunately for the Bears, if the playoffs were right now, they'd play the Redskins. They'd probably move on from the Redskins without much trouble. End up having to play probably the Rams in that case. Which I said it before, I think that's the better matchup for the Chicago Bears. It certainly will be the one that ESPN's going to love because they can talk about Nagy and McVay, the comparison everybody made in the offseason. They would love to have that. But, you know, when it comes to the NFC, you still have 2 really strong powerhouses. And then you got the Bears that are just a step behind, the Vikings who are like a step and a half behind. And, you know,
the thing about the Vikings, too, and we saw it in the Sunday night game, is the defense for them is also going to be crucial because they're stepping up at the defense is stepping up at the right time for the Minnesota Vikings. And the thing that I'm looking at right now that's very interesting is, like, if you look at the remaining games for all 4 teams, like I have the Saints, Rams, Vikings, and Bears. Starting with the 2 divisional opponents. The Bears, they've got the Giants, the Rams, the Packers, the 49ers, and then the Vikings. Really, let me be honest. You should win, like the Green Bay one. All right, toss it up because it's a rivalry game, but let's be honest, what Green Bay is right now.
Revenge at home.
Exactly. You should win 3. You should beat the Giants, beat the 49ers, beat the Packers. Vikings and Rams are toss-up games. Then you look at Minnesota, kind of in a similar boat. You got to get through the Patriots on the road. That's going to be tough. You got to get through Seattle on the road. That's going to be tough. They're playing better football at this stretch.
And it really helps the Seahawks if they beat the Vikings.
To get into the playoffs.
Exactly.
The remaining schedule before the Bears, Miami, could we get upset? Yeah, but we'd be favored in that game. Could the Lions upset us? Yes, but I think we'd be favored in that game. And then we have the Chicago Bears. That Bears-Rams game, though, how crucial that is. The Rams have Detroit. The Lions don't have a chance in my mind. After they play the Bears, the Eagles, Rams are winning that game. Cardinals, Rams are winning that game. 49ers, Rams are winning that game. And I know what you're going to say. You're going to look at it and go, and I'm not saying you, I'm saying them. Oh, well, the 49ers and the Cardinals. No. The combined 10 points between the two of them. And the Cardinals got shut out in week 2.
The one in there that could be a surprise is the Eagles.
Yeah. But I still
Carson
think,
Wentz is playing well.
I still think if the Rams are losing a game, it'll be to the Bears. And that's why I feel like that's going to be crucial. And then the Saints are in the same boat. You've got Dallas this week will be tough. The Buccaneers are not what they were week 1. They're dysfunctional at this point. The Carolina Panthers, you have to play them twice. One of those could be a loss. And then you've got the Steelers. So really 2 games that could be important. Yeah, the Bears could technically be the 1 seed depending how things play out. But I think that week 17, my point in all this, is although I think the Saints and Rams will finish 1-2, I think because of how everything will play out, especially if the Bears beat the Rams, the Bears-Vikings game, week 17, it's going to mean a lot for either a first-round bye, maybe a divisional appearance for the winner of the Vikings-Bears. I think that's our Sunday night football game to end the year, is Bears at Vikings.
The only reason I disagree is I don't think it's actually going to really matter.
Because you think everything's going to be set in stone, and Bears might not beat the Rams, so that won't matter. And everything
I don't see either the Saints or Rams losing more than 1 game. Now, the Saints, they got to play the Panthers twice, and the Panthers are going to be trying to get in the playoffs. So that actually does have potential for the Saints to maybe lose 2.
Yeah.
But I also think that the Bears are probably going to lose 2 of these last 5 games. Well, at least one of them, they'll at least lose to the Rams in my eyes. I don't know if they'll lose to the Vikings or not. But I think that the Vikings are probably going to lose to the Patriots and the Seahawks. So I just don't...
one of them, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I just don't see, because of the 0.5 that's going to matter, I see the Vikings probably finishing 0.5 games behind the Bears. And it doesn't matter. Saints, Rams, they're going to be 1 and 2 in whichever order, doesn't matter. The interesting things in the NFC is going to be the wild card, because I don't think anybody expects the Washington Redskins to still be there pretty soon. Panthers and Seahawks are both fighting their way up, and one of these teams is hoping that the Dallas Cowboys kind of lose steam. And we'll see what happens with that.
So any final thoughts before we wrap this up and kind of move over into the AFC?
The only extra thing I'll say about this one is just to the Bears fans of let's be calm a little bit. Let's not become Jaguar fans.
Jaguar fans.
Since they are mad at me anyways, I can go ahead and say this. Let's not be Jaguar fans and really get hot and cocky and then have our team fall apart next year.
So what you're saying is next year I should pick the Bears to win the Super Bowl.
You could if you wanted to. I mean,
things completely decimate the Bears
People
season.
were excited Mark Trestman's first year. I'm just saying that. No, this is nothing like that. But I mean, still, let's not be assholes.
Well, this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you guys think down below in that comment section. Are the Bears a legit Super Bowl threat, a legit Super Bowl contender in the NFC? Can they compete with the Rams, compete with the Saints? Let us know what you guys think in that comment section.